Welcome into the door of psychic experience. Ask and you will be given what you ask for. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives. Anyone who seeks finds. If only you will knock, the door will open, and the truth within your higher spiritual self will be revealed to you. Come now with us and go where angels come, and you can too. Hi, welcome to Psychic Experience. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Reverend Doris Horvath, the show hostess, and the show is being presented by the First Spiritualist Church in San Diego. I cannot give you the address right now. It's in City Heights area. You can find it in your phone book. It's a church where angels come, and so can you any Sunday. I am the pastor of the First Spiritualist Church. My assistant pastor is Reverend Marcella Jones. She's a Yuan practitioner. And we also have our president, Reiki teacher, Reverend Rosalia Oberles, and our minister of healing is Reverend Celine Clark. And we have another new reverend. Her name is Reverend Margaret Adler. We tape this show once a month, and we have very special guests on our show that have either called me up and told me they want to be on the show, or else I had to do some research to find someone. But it's always different. And it's a metaphysical, spiritual talk show, and it's very spontaneous. Anything can happen, and it usually does. We have all kinds of nice surprises. Tonight we have an animal communication psychic. Her name is Janel Eaton. She's sitting right here next to me. Janelle, just to start off here, just say hello to the audience so they get an idea who you are. They see who you are. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to read a little bit about what you've given me to tell the audience about you. Janelle is a Southern California native and has surrounded herself with animals her whole life. As a young girl, she competed in horse shows and dog shows. The last 6 years, she has been an avid competitor in dog agility. She and her husband, James, live in Escondido with their 3 dogs. I have to find out what kind of dogs they are later. Okay. Her psychic training began several years ago with Brigitte Noel in animal communications. She quickly discovered that she was clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient. She contrived her training in psychic mediumship, physical mediumship, and healing hands of Reverend Rainey Bromes and Sandra Cook. She launched her website, the Animal Psychic Com, in 2005. She gives, I'm not supposed to give out websites, so I purposely said that wrong.
Okay.
She gives readings on animals for their owners who are curious about their likes, dislikes, and maybe even their strange behaviors. She can also read recently passed on animals and help locate the lost ones as well. Now you're going to be asking Janelle some questions because that's one of the best ways for our audience to find out what her experience is, where she's coming from, and where she started. My first question is, were you psychic as a child?
I didn't think that I was. I really didn't have a whole lot going on except for the fact that when I was 10 years old, I knew I was going to die on my 18th birthday.
Oh, no.
And I told my mother this, which really wigged her out, and it worked out to where I had started taking acting lessons, and I was in a movie, and they ended up writing some extra scenes so that I had a death scene on my 18th birthday.
Well,
so I got that out of the way.
So you did have your 18th
I just
year
knew.
experience. My other question I have here is, what made you want to learn animal communications?
Well, I was at the Wags for Wishes dog show a few years ago, and my Australian Shepherd that I was competing with had gotten a foxtail in his nose.
Oh,
and
no.
there was an animal psychic that was there in one of the booths, And I brought my dog up, and she said, "What do you want to know about him?" And I said, "Just find out if something's bothering him." And she immediately went like this.
Oh.
And I thought, well, that's a pretty neat trick for her to know that he had something wrong with his nose. So I later found out who she studied with, and that was Brigitte Noel. And I did her courses with her, and it just totally opened my eyes.
Well, that was supposed to happen. And do animals see you as being different than other people?
Yes, they do. Apparently, when you can communicate with animals that have never met you before, they just see you differently. There must be an aura or something, because I see hundreds of dogs on a weekly basis in my dog training classes and in competition, hundreds of them, and sometimes they will pull their owners 10 or 15 feet over just to get to me, and they go, "I don't know why she wants to see you. We don't know you," but the dogs can tell that I can talk to them. I have done some on-the-spot readings for dogs that have desperately wanted me to communicate with them.
No, it sounds like the animals instantly know that you're someone that's interested in them and cares about them. I noticed for years that wherever I went, that all the cats were starting to come in my direction because they knew I loved cats. Actually, then you get into this process. How do you go about making your real connection with them?
I start with a photograph most of the time, and I look at the picture and stare at the animal's eyes, and then close my eyes, and usually within 5 or 10 seconds I just start getting images. And if I don't get it right away, I'll wait and come back, because sometimes they're not ready. Sometimes it's almost like, "Who are you?" and they don't want to talk to you. But most of the time they open right up.
Do people actually bring their animals to your house, or do you have to go there?
No, I do it, mostly people email me photos, and then, like I said, sometimes on the spot when I'm in competition, the word has gotten around and people will run up and say, "Can you find out why Tippy's not running today?" And I'll just make a little comment to Tippy, and she'll show me that she was cold last night. She's got a cold spot on her back. Just things like that.
Well, you must watch Animal Planet every night like I do.
I do. I love it.
Well, what's the most important part about reading the animals?
Trusting your instincts and taking all of the information that they give you. A good example is I did a reading on a parrot, and this woman had adopted this parrot and it kept biting her. And she wanted me to find out why he was so unhappy. And the first image I got from him was looking at the kitchen sink and the refrigerator and the stove, and I thought, he can't be in the kitchen. And so I did the rest of the reading, and I said he must be near the kitchen somewhere, because I can hear the dishwasher going, and it's very noisy, and he really doesn't like that. And she writes me back and says, "We keep him in the kitchen." And it's like, that's the first thing he was telling me, is I'm in the kitchen and I hate it. And I just judged and said that would be impossible. But they don't lie. They're not like people. People can be deceitful. Animals have nothing to hide.
They're very truthful, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done any animal rescues?
Well, I have a rescue, a Jack Russell that I rescued. And I actually read him before I went to go see him, to find out if there were any serious problems that I didn't think I'd be able to handle. And I read him, and he looked like a really nice little guy. And when I went to go get him, the lady was saying, "My God, he acts like he knows you." And I said, "Well, he does."
They all know you. Well, I did my own form of animal rescue yesterday morning. I went to go turn on my fountain for the backyard so the birds would have water. I feed wild birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that there was some strange-looking critter underneath my bamboo shelves right next to where I turned the water on. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought maybe there's something wrong with my eyes. Then I thought, no, I better go look under there. So I looked under there, and there's a lizard in my dining room.
Oh.
So I had to take everything out of my bamboo shelves and put it on the dining room table so I could find this lizard. And I like lizards. I think they're really neat animals. I went and put some gloves on so I wouldn't scare him and so I wouldn't get bit. It wasn't really that big a lizard. But I took everything apart and he was hiding between the wall and the carpet. So I reached down, I grabbed him. And I took him, put him outside, and just laid out there for about 10 minutes. He was shocked. I did my rescue for the day.
I actually gave CPR to an iguana one time, and I saved him. Yeah, I used to put my iguana Marcel in the bathtub to swim, and he just drowned. So I shook the water out and put him over on his back and blew into his mouth and thumped his little heart, and he came back.
Oh, good for you. That's amazing. Well, going a little bit further here, how do you help locate missing pets?
Well, the hard part about helping someone find a lost pet is the people have to know the neighborhood, because when I contact the animal, they're going to show me what they're looking at. So if they're looking at a particular fence in a neighborhood or cars, or sometimes I can read signs, not always, but I tell them, okay, he's near an apartment building, there's a dumpster, the sprinklers are going on right now, there's cardboard boxes all around, and they have to be able to jump in the car and go. You can't call me from your work and say my cat's been missing 3 days and I don't get off till 5 and it's noon. You know, the animal will be gone by then.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had a lot of luck with getting people right behind them to the point where they'll be on the cell phone with me and they say, okay, we're at whatever certain point. He was just here 2 minutes ago. Which way is he going? And I'll tell them, and they find him. I tell them I'm smelling horses right now. Is there a stable around? Yes, we know where the stable is. And so that really helps. But if you're new to the neighborhood and your animal runs away, that makes it really tough because they don't know the neighborhood, and you really have to know your environment to find your animal the way I do it, through their eyes.
I think sometimes animals get lost because all the houses look the same.
Sure.
That's what happened to my white Siamese cat. He got out of the yard, and he was gone for 4 days. And finally I heard him on the sidewalk above where I was living, on the above bank. They were all condos, they looked the same. And I heard him growling, and no other cat sounded like that. So I dropped everything, I ran up the hill, and I grabbed him. And I think he was so confused, he didn't know which one to go to.
Well, that's why they mark their territory. That's another reason, because that smells like me, you know. They go home.
He didn't have a chance to do that because he was living on the balcony, and he fell off evidently.
Oh, my.
Or jumped off. I don't know what he did.
He's okay, though?
He was okay until a couple of years ago. He got to where he couldn't walk around, and he couldn't eat, and he couldn't sleep, he couldn't do anything.
If animals can't eat and can't poop, then their quality of life...
Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah.
But at 18 years,
Oh, that's great.
He stayed with me longer than any of my husbands.
Oh.
He was a very dedicated cat. I'd like to ask you if you can tell us about animal eyewitnesses.
Okay, this is a second part of my animal psychic business that I started. What I have done is I contact animals that have witnessed a crime scene.
Oh, really?
So I can actually interview them and get information as far as what the people look like, what was going on. A lot of times I can get dialogue, I can get smells, cars, what the cars look like. Because when something stressful is going on, say a murder or a beating or a robbery, and they're in the house, cats are really good because cats hide and they watch.
Yeah,
They'll get under some furniture and they'll watch the whole thing. You usually can only see from like up to the knee, but in a lot of cases where I did one for this dog that witnessed a murder of this woman's brother, I described the boots on this guy, and she knew exactly who it was. And at one point, the guy had knocked him down, and the victim fell, and he bent down, and I described what he looked like. And this was from her dachshund that was sitting on the sofa watching this whole thing. And she said, I've got to go to the police and tell him, because she said they interviewed him and let him go.
Now, is this because you can see through the animal's eyes what they're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, part of it is using the animals, and then another part is just the psychic part, where you can actually go into the room and see all the details. But the animals get me in there, and they're real trustworthy. Because especially dogs, because they're smelling everything. You can smell when a person smokes. You can smell if they've been drinking. You can tell what they've been eating. Mm-hmm. You can hear the bags from the fast food. All that. So they're wonderful witnesses.
That's really interesting. Have you helped the victims' families with gaining closure?
Yes. I have helped this one lady recently. Her sister had passed away, and she had a large dog that belonged to her mom that was staying at the house. And the sister's boyfriend was there, and he said she just passed away. And I found out from the dog that he had left and didn't come back until after she'd already OD'd. And there was a very odd time situation there where this man was lying, and I practically got it down to the minute with the dog when this guy left because of what was on television.
Oh,
I heard the beginning of The Tonight Show when he left, and I said, that has to be 11:30.
Okay.
So the animals can really help. They're always watching.
That really is amazing. I'm going to ask you a question about my calico cat that I had until a few years ago. She was a wonderful cat. She didn't scratch the furniture, you know, she had big claws. She slept a lot, she ate a lot, and she never did anything bad at all. She was a wonderful cat. I could go away for a couple of days and she just slept and ate. But towards the last of the time that I had her, she would sit in one spot in the family room and she would yell so loud. It was shattering.
She had bladder stones, crystals, the urine crystals.
She was in pain?
Female cats, that's very common. And I find, now see, when you were talking about your cat, I got like a little pain right there. I get that when I do animals with readings and stuff, their shoulders, their backs, a lot of times they need chiropractic adjustments. Cats complain a lot about the bladder crystals. And they're very common. You have to feed special food for them to help break that down.
Well, it was so bad, I finally made a recording of her because it sounded like some sort of a Halloween event with a cat yelling so loud. I was thinking that maybe she was looking at ghosts or something. It's an old house.
I have found that when there are spirits in a home and there are animals around, they tend to just calmly sit and stare. They don't bark. The dogs won't bark. The cats don't seem to run. I don't think they're afraid, like, you know, some people would see a spirit and woo, wig out. Yeah. But they see auras on us all the time. They can tell when there's someone to stay away from. They can tell when there's someone that can communicate, someone that likes animals. So they see all kinds of light and shadow that we don't see all the time. So it wouldn't scare one to see a spirit.
So that wouldn't be a reason why she was screaming so
she
loud.
had crystals in her little bladder.
Well, she was a 9-year-old cat. That's very possible. Where would you like to be in your career in about 5 years from now?
I really like the animal eyewitness. I've always liked mystery television shows and movies and trying to solve the crimes on TV, and it just fascinates me the way detectives put things together. And this is something that I can do that, as far as I know, no one else is doing, that can actually help solve a case. It can actually put a suspect in a location at a certain time, and that's without any human witnesses. The animals are seeing it. And they don't lie. And like I said, you can actually get down to certain times. And definitely the smells. Their noses are so much more sensitive than ours. So when someone that smokes walks in, it's like, whoa, it's really strong.
Well, you have 3 dogs. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a hairless Chinese crested that is a show champion, and I started doing the dog agility with him. And he decided he didn't like it too much, so I got an Australian Shepherd. And I'm still competing with him. And then I rescued the little Jack Russell 2 years ago. That's Joe. And he's a great little dog. He does wonderful in training, but he gets a little distracted when we're in competition, and that's okay. He's a good soul.
What is dog agility?
That's where you do the obstacle courses. You go over the jumps and up the A-frame and the dog walk, and you've got weave poles that you go in and out, and tunnels, and it's a timed event.
No, that's what I see on television when they're having an animal contest.
Yeah, they'll show the invitational nationals that they have once a year. The Purina has a super dog contest where they'll have agility, and then the dogs where they dive off the edge of a dock into the water. And there's all kinds of sports you can do with dogs, and dogs love it. They absolutely love it.
What about pet grooming? Do you get into any of that yourself?
No, I get my Australian Shepherd shaved every 5 weeks, and I take him to Petco.
Oh.
And they do him for me. I tried to shave him one time, and in a half an hour I got a patch about that big done, and I thought, this is not worth it. They get him done in an hour and do a beautiful job.
Well, they have all kinds of ways to keep the animal from getting away.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that they have some special way to anchor them to the spot so that they don't get off the table.
Right. Well, they have a little leash that goes underneath in front of their back legs, and then the one around their neck. And my dog loves his groomer. We've been going to him for 2 years now, and he gets all excited when he knows he's going to go get his hair cut.
My calico cat absolutely hated it when the groomers came and got her and took her out to their truck.
Kitties don't like to leave their environment. They really don't.
In fact, one time she was so stressed out she couldn't walk right because she was so resistive that she had muscle strain.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So I decided, well, maybe I'll give her a bath myself. Well, that didn't work out too well. I had to wear gloves, and my gloves got ripped up.
Yep, I don't like it.
I didn't do that again. I thought, okay, so take her back to the groomer that comes to the door, whether she likes it or not. So I had my fun with that cat. That was the wildest cat I ever had.
Cats are very funny. They don't like to leave their environment. Like you said, they took her outside. That wasn't good for her. And when I do readings on cats, I hate to say this, I love kitties, but they complain more than dogs. Dogs will hardly ever complain about anything. They just love to be with you. And the only complaint I really get from dogs is their food.
Oh, really?
They love all different kinds of food. They like food that have spices and a lot of smell to it. My dogs love carne asada and Greek chicken. Dogs love garlic. They love food with a lot of flavor, just like we do. And if you just give them dry food, it's like, they'll eat it, but they really want good, healthy, meaty treats that we've touched with our hands.
I had a Hungarian Puli. They look sort of like a sheep, English sheepdog, but they're different. They had
corded
hair all over their face. He would sit by the table and wait for us to get done eating so he could get to eat what was left.
Sure.
He really preferred to eat what we were eating. Very smart dog.
And kitties like to be fed by hand.
Oh, they
you get
do?
a little piece of fish or a little piece of cheese, because cats actually, I saw this on Animal Planet, that they have a lot of their smell receptors on the roof of their mouth.
Oh, really?
So when because they usually smell their food before they eat it, whereas dogs
yes, they do.
And they like to smell it, and it helps them to enhance the flavor of the food, is to smell it first. So if you hold it and then let them eat it, they really enjoy that.
That's very interesting. Well, this is so much fun. I really enjoyed your coming on our show tonight. And I want to thank our crew for helping, and I want to thank all of them for taking time out from their busy lives. And please get a pencil and some paper so you can write down our phone number at the end of the show, because that's how you can call the church and find out about Janel's phone number and the church. Thank you for listening, and blessings to all of you. And I hope you enjoyed this show. Bye for now.
Thank you.